Hello super friends and welcome to DC TV Talk. This is the show where we talk all things Supergirl, The Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, Arrow and Black Lightning. And in today's video we'll be capping off all of my reviews for this season with my review for Supergirl Season 3. So let's get into it. Now Supergirl this season was something that was of big interest to me, given the fact that Season 1 was a season I did not enjoy at all. But Season 2 I found to be a rather significant step up, which gave me a lot of hope for Season 3. And at least for the first part of the season, I really thought that it was going to follow through with that, but I was very, very wrong. Now, if you've been watching my videos for the past couple of weeks, and you've been watching a couple of the Supergirl videos that I've made, and also if you listen to my podcast, you'll know that I have been kind of slating Supergirl as of late, especially in the back half of Season 3, but it didn't start that way. The first 9 episodes of this season, so from the season premiere to the mid-season finale, is solid. Those first 9 episodes are, and I'll even go far as saying they were great. Like, those first 9 episodes were really investing, they were really fun, they were really good episodes, and I would even go as far as saying, you know, back then when those episodes were airing, I was thinking, you know, Supergirl could actually be the best DC TV show this season at that point. And I think arguably it was. I think obviously Legends was still putting up a good fight in its corner, but I still think that Supergirl was really good in those first 9 episodes. Really strong, had a great introduction with the villain who I'll get onto. Just a really good set of episodes that were really engaging, and I was really enjoying myself. And like I said, it really gave me a good feeling for the rest of the season. It just didn't carry that forward. So let's get into the villain. So the villain of this season was Rain, and I think Rain was absolutely outstanding. In my opinion, the best villain in DC TV this season, at least in the Arrowverse. And I think that Rain, she really got that development that she needed. Not necessarily on the Rain side, but more necessarily on the Sam side, which I think really added that emotional side to her that many villains on Supergirl lacked, and many villains lack in general, is that emotional impact. And Rain had that, given the fact that Sam was set up and established as a friend of Kara, Alex, and Lena, and obviously setting her up with her own daughter, with Ruby, again, gave her, you know, gave Sam something to fight for, to try and fight out Rain, was Ruby. That was kind of like a big thing, and obviously, I'll get onto Ruby later, but that's an entirely different thing. But the whole idea of giving her a daughter was a good sentiment for a villain to actually kind of do that, and I really enjoyed that element. And I think Oda Annabelle, who played Rain, was such a great addition to the show. I think she fit in so well. I was very much anticipating her joining the show because I actually knew her from another show, which she is amazing in. And in that show, she developed some great skills, some awesome acting skills, and also some great action skills. And you saw that in a couple of the fights, especially in the mid-season finale fight, which was incredible between Supergirl and Rain. That fight was brutal, it was real, it was gritty, and it felt impactful. Like, every punch, you felt it, because it was a real brutal fight. And I think that Oda Annabelle was able to bring that over from the show she was on before, which was called Banshee. And all these elements together made an excellent big bad with Rain. I'm really sad she's gone now, but hopefully we might see Sam pop up again next season at some point. And to be honest, from there, that's where my positives end with this season. And let me just preface this by saying, this is the best season of Supergirl, but that's really not saying much when you look at the previous 2 seasons. I think that this, you know, a big talking point to really kind of go into with this is how this season had drawn the audience away. Now, I know Supergirl has its core audience, I know it still has, you know, bigger viewers than both Arrow and Legends, but when you look at the DC TV community on YouTube, and the videos made for Supergirl and all the discussion and speculation for Supergirl, it just dropped at a certain point. Like, it just completely died at once. And that was a massive issue, as you can just see the lack of enthusiasm and the lack of passion for Supergirl within the community. I've experienced it myself. You may have noticed I haven't made a lot of Supergirl videos because I've been really finding it difficult to actually come up with content that I actually want to make, because there's nothing to really talk about. There was nothing exciting to delve into, and because Supergirl was just delivering bad episode after bad episode after bad episode, I didn't want to talk about it because, you know me, I prefer to be positive. I like to put a positive spin on things. That's why I'm always perceived to be a bit more positive about, you know, negative topics than most people, because I don't really like to talk about negative things. I'd much rather talk about the good stuff. And that's why Supergirl was really difficult to bring across last season. And this was a big problem in the fact that it just drew the audiences away. It completely lost everyone's interest, including my own, and that was a real big problem. I really hope Season 4 can just draw us back in, because Season 3, doing that, was very damaging to the show. One of the big reasons why this happened was due to the big break that Supergirl had. Obviously, Supergirl, it went to the mid-season, had its break, came back for like 3 episodes, and then after those 3 episodes, the show went on like a 2-month hiatus, which you'll all remember, where the show was just gone and was kind of suffering reshoots and rewrites a little bit. Nothing significant, but it was there, you know, for a reason I'll get onto in a second. But those breaks and that massive hiatus that the show took really did some damage, because when that show came back on episode 14, that was when that moment happened that I mentioned earlier, where the intention of the show and all the engagement just dropped. That was when people didn't care, because the thing is, when you take a break that long, people are just going to forget about you, and people are going to forget about that show. That's just the way it works. So the fact that Supergirl took that risk and decided to go, right, we're going to take this break, that was really damaging, because now they have really lost a lot of the fun and speculating audience that Supergirl had. And I believe one of the main reasons that this happened was due to that break, and I feel if they would have just completely scrapped that and just continued on the path they were going originally, they would have been able to pull it off a bit better. But this was a massive reason why the show suffered. I think the other big reason has to do with the firing of Andrew Kreisberg as the showrunner. Now, obviously, Andrew Kreisberg, I do not condemn what he did or didn't do. Obviously, nothing's been confirmed. There's no official reports of if he did anything. But what I will say about Andrew Kreisberg, and one thing you cannot deny, is that he is a good writer and he is a good showrunner, and he was the core driving force behind Supergirl. So when he was fired and when he was gone, you can notice that significant drop, and that massive break that Supergirl took was because of the firing of Andrew Kreisberg, because they had to kind of recheck things, rewrite things, and kind of change it a little bit to get it away from his vision, which is a little bit of a pathetic response in my opinion, but I guess that's what they felt like they had to do in good conscience. But I really don't agree with how they were able to just completely rewrite everything, because this story, obviously it still followed the basic outline that Andrew Kreisberg set, but you can tell things were changed, because otherwise why would you have the break in the first place? And especially because when you look at when Andrew Kreisberg left, which was, you know, just before that break, the show completely dropped, and that was when everything sort of went wrong with Supergirl. And even though he was a big driving force on The Flash, he wasn't as big there, and that's why The Flash pretty much stayed the same throughout the entire season, because it wasn't really affected by that. But Supergirl, you can tell when it happened, you can see it, you can literally, there's physical evidence of the episode where it drops and where it changes. And again, in comparison to The Flash was like inconsistent the entire season, so that's completely separate. That wasn't affected by this, but Supergirl clearly was, and I feel like perhaps they should have just stuck to the original vision, because like I said, those first 9 episodes, and even like, you know, the episodes kind of following that, they were very strong and very capable episodes, and I feel like that vision probably would have ended up being a better result. But despite all my negativity, there are a couple of other elements to the show that I really enjoyed in Season 3, such as the Legion of Superheroes. That was something I was really excited to see implemented. I think the Legion were a really awesome element from the comics to bring in, very much connected to the Superman mythos and the Supergirl mythos. So again, it was actually a pretty original Supergirl comic idea to bring over to the show, and obviously this was where they kind of tied into Mon-El's story, and I think the Mon-El was a much better character this season than was last season. He clearly had grown up, he had matured. I really enjoyed his character a lot more. He was pretty useless throughout the entire season, but he was still a lot better and a lot less obnoxious than he was in Season 2. Imra was a pretty good addition. I didn't really enjoy her too much. I feel like she had a lot of wasted potential, so you didn't really do much. But then Jesse Rath as Brainiac 5, you are a god, my friend. You are absolutely hilarious. I love your performance. You're such a physical performer in terms of how you perform Brainiac 5, and I really love the fact that you are going to be a series regular for Season 4. That really makes me happy. But while the Legion were great in their own respect, I feel like there are a massive missed opportunity, because there were so many other Legionnaires that we didn't see. You know, this is supposed to be a big team of heroes, and we only saw 3, one of which we had already seen before. So I feel like it kind of sucks that we didn't get to see these other members. Now, we may get it in Season 4, who knows? But I feel like the Legion are kind of gone now, because obviously Brainiac 5's with us, Mon-El is gone from the show, and while Wynn's going to be recurring next season, because Wynn is of course now a member of the Legion, I just can't see why we get the Legion again, which makes me sad, because like I said, I really did enjoy the Legion for the most part. But overall, I did enjoy the Legion. I wish they would have had a bit more development and a bit more kind of, you know, reveal as to who they were. But for the most part, I think they were a cool addition to the show. Also, I think the storyline between Jean and his father, Marin, was a really nice element to the show. It's kind of like, it's very similar, to the storyline we got in Arrow Season 6 between Quentin and Black Siren. It was kind of like a parallel story for Supergirl between Jean and his father. And it was a really nice story. You know, I think that Carl Lumley, who, if you know him, you'll know he actually voiced Martian Manhunter beforehand. I think he was a really nice addition to the show. I was never quite sure what they were trying to do with his character, because he kind of was this comedic kind of character for most of the season, and then they kind of take him down a really tragic tone for the last few episodes, which was really confusing. So I'm not quite sure what direction they were trying to take the character, but I think his performance was really funny, really sweet, and I think David Harewood really sold it. I think, you know, them two together were kind of a power couple on this show, and I really enjoyed that story, and I think it was easily one of the best parts of the season, like one of the most standout things about it. Now, in terms of other characters, we had Lena Luthor kind of further cementing herself down the villain path. We had her, especially in the back half of the season, really getting into conflict with Supergirl. We see she can now actually create kryptonite, which caused a massive rupture between her and Supergirl's relationship. And we also saw her kind of working with Miss Tessmacher towards the end, developing the Hyronel. So it was quite interesting to kind of see Lena go down this more villainous path, and I think we're all egging it on because we all really want to see Lena become a full-fledged villain. I think if it was up to us fans, we would take Lena as the villain for season 4, like the full-on big bad. But this is just further cementing her down that path, so that's good. And I think Katie McGrath, although your accent is still all over the place, I don't know how someone hasn't mentioned this to you yet, but besides your accent, you're doing a good job, and I really like your version of Lena Luthor, so keep that going. Also, we had Alex, who was a massive step-up character in Season 2, get even better in Season 3. She was a great character once again. They did take her down a good path, which I liked. I was kind of worried what they were going to do with her this season, but I actually liked what they did. For the first half of the season, they had her with Maggie, and we got to see the breakup of Sanvers, which was very sad. Sanvers was probably one of the best relationships in the Arrowverse. I really enjoyed that one. But Maggie left the show, because obviously the actress Floriana Lima, she had other things going on. She's now part of the Punisher. But it was really nice to see that, and I think that that relationship ended off in a nice way. And this basically directly tied into Alex's B storyline for the season, which is that she really wanted a child. And this led to her and Ruby coming together, and her kind of becoming the pseudo-adopted mother of Ruby, while Rain and Sam were, you know, wherever Rain and Sam were at that particular point in time. And I think this is a really good storyline. This is obviously going to continue into Season 4, we can kind of see that. And obviously Alex is now the director of the DEO, taking over from Jean's job. So I feel Alex is going to be a massive authoritative figure next season, which is a great acting choice for Chyla Lee. Speaking of Ruby, though, oh my god, right, this character was awful. No disrespect to Emma Tremblay. I feel horrible saying this because she is obviously quite young and she's a young actress, and everyone has to start somewhere, right? But could someone not have told her to be less annoying and just actually act like a child? Because, quite frankly, I mean, she's not helped by the writing either. The writing for her character was tragic. The way that she was trying to get herself involved in all these different situations, putting her life in danger a couple times. She was just an idiot, and she was just really annoying. Every time we cut to her, I wanted to cut my ears off because she was just so frustrating as a character. And I feel like she's the biggest misstep of the season. Like I said earlier when I was talking about Rain, I think giving Rain a child was a good idea. But could you pick anyone else? Like, literally anybody else but Ruby. I really hated her. I thought she was awful. And again, I really do feel bad saying that because I don't want to sort of offend Emma Tremblay in any way. But I just feel like this was a real misfire on the show's front. And I feel like they have completely ruined the idea of kids on this show. And it's a shame because Alex obviously has been set up to kind of become a mother at some point within the next couple of seasons probably. And I just don't think any of us want it because of this bad experience. We've been so badly burnt by Ruby. So I guess if my advice to the writers is if you are going to do a child for Alex, please make it good. Overall, though, I think Supergirl Season 3 was the best season of Supergirl. I think it was a very strong season in the first half, and then very weak in the back half. I think that this season had just a massive drop-off point, and again, a lot of these problems do stem from the break and the firing of Andrew Kreisberg being lost from the show. But I did enjoy a lot of the elements in the season. Like I said, I think obviously Melissa Benoist is always a standout. She's always fantastic. I think the Legion were a nice addition. I did enjoy what they did with a lot of the characters this season, especially with Jean and Marin. But some of the other elements, such as Ruby being such a prominent figure, and that massive drop-off in the break, and the massive firing of Andrew Kreisberg, really ruined the show. And Rain pretty much being the only thing that's holding the entire season together. This was a very underwhelming season of Supergirl. Very disappointing, especially after the first 9 episodes. And overall, I think the season was kind of a waste of time by the end. But what do you guys think about Supergirl Season 3? Be sure to tell me all your thoughts about this in the comment section down below. What do you think? Do you think this was a good season? Do you think this was a terrible season? Or are you somewhere in the middle? Be sure to let me know all your thoughts in the comment section down below. Like I said, this season started out so strong for me. I was so optimistic, and then they just completely dropped the ball. But you may feel differently, and be sure to argue with me on that one in the comments. Also, if you like this video and you want to see more content like this, be sure to check out my podcast, which is linked in the description box down below. It's called Honor Thy Podcast. It is a weekly DC TV Arrowverse podcast I do with my good friend Dan McCann's Middle Kick Media, where we discuss everything Arrowverse. So if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more, be sure to click that link. So, thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a like. It'll help me out a lot. And share this video with anyone and everyone you know who loves DC TV and get them to join the community. And as always, guys, please subscribe for all of your latest content on Supergirl, The Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, Arrow, and Black Lightning. And with all that said, guys, I hope to see you again in my next video.